For learning and transfer of training to occur, training programs need to include meaningful material, clear objectives, opportunity for practice and feedback, learner interaction, and a supportive work environment. However, these features are not enough to create an effective training program. An effective training program also needs a high quality program design to maximize trainee learning and transfer of learning. Program design refers to the organization and coordination of the training program. It is important to take a broad perspective when designing training, regardless of whether it's an online or face-to-face training program, class, or course. Employees need to be motivated to attend training events, use what they've learned on their job, share their knowledge and skills with others, and continue to shape and modify the knowledge and skills required to meet changing business and job demands. This means that program design should include not only what goes on during the training based on the course and lesson plans, but it also in creating the conditions before the training event to ensure that trainees are willing, ready, and motivated to learn knowledge and skills. In addition, program design should include taking steps to ensure that after training, the acquired knowledge and skills are used on the job and shared with other employees. This figure shows the three phases of the program design process: pre-training, the learning event, and post-training. Needs assessment information collected during the needs assessment is important to identifying appropriate pre-training activities, designing the learning event, and helping to ensure that transfer of training occurs after training ends. Phase 1, pre-training, involves preparing, motivating, and energizing trainees to attend the learning event. Phase 1 also involves ensuring that the work environment, like climate, managers, and peers, supports learning and transfer. Phase 2, the learning event, involves preparing instruction, classes, the overall program, and so on, and the physical environment to facilitate learning. Phase 2 focuses on creating a positive learning environment, including planning the activities that occur during training, selecting a high-quality instructor or trainer, choosing a training room, and creating positive interactions with learners, and having proper program design. Phase 3, post-training, refers to transfer of training and getting learners to apply what they have learned to their work. Typically, most effort, attention, and financial resources tend to be devoted to designing and choosing the learning event itself. However, what happens before the learning event, pre-training, and after the event, post-training, may be equally, if not more important in determining if learners are motivated to learn, acquire new knowledge and skills, and apply, share, and use what they've learned. Training program design issues relate to these three phases of instructional process. The training site refers to the room where training will be conducted. A good training site offers the following features. It's comfortable and accessible. It's quiet, private, and free from interruptions. It has sufficient space for trainees to move around easily, offers enough room for trainees to have adequate workspace, and has good visibility for trainees to see each other, the trainer, and any visual displays or examples of what will be used, like videos, product samples, charts, and slides. Training sites can be on-site in a training room, located at company offices, or off-site at a hotel, resort, conference center, or college campus. There's no right answer as to whether training should be held on-site or off-site. Both on- and off-site training have potential benefits that need to be considered. The benefits of on-site training include actual and perceived savings of transportation, food and beverage costs, space and equipment rental costs, and ease of using local employees to serve as instructors for some or part of the training. The benefits of off-site training include less chance of business-related disruptions resulting in improved trainee focus, a more memorable training setting and experience, providing a message that the company values training. Details to consider when evaluating a training room. Noise. Check for noise from heating and air conditioning systems, adjacent rooms and corridors, and outside the building. Colors. Pastel hues such as oranges, greens, blues, and yellows are warm colors and good for the training experience. Room structure. Use rooms that are somewhat square in shape. Lighting. The main source of lighting should be fluorescent lights. Incandescent lighting should be spread throughout the room and used with dimmers when projection is required. Carpeting is always best for floor coverings. Meeting chairs should have swivels and appropriate backrests. Check for glares from mirrors, TVs, and other metallic surfaces, and ceilings are ideally 10 feet tall. Electrical outlets should be conveniently placed for both the trainer and trainees. Acoustics should be appropriate for everyone to hear the training, and necessary technological connections and resources should be made available for the trainer and trainee experience. The training room selected matters in terms of training effectiveness. Keep in mind that many times trainers do not have the luxury of choosing the perfect training site. Rather, they use their evaluation of the training site to familiarize themselves with the site's strengths and weaknesses in order to adjust the training program and/or physical arrangements of the site. Here are the characteristics of the meeting room that a trainer, program designer, or manager should use to evaluate a training site. Noise. Check for noise from heating and air conditioning systems, adjacent rooms and corridors, and outside the building. Colors. Pastel hues such as oranges, greens, blues, and yellows are warm colors. Variations of white are cold and sterile. Blacks and browns will close the room in physiologically and become fatiguing. Room structure. Use rooms that are somewhat square in shape. Long, narrow rooms make it difficult for trainees to see, hear, and participate in discussion. Check for availability and proximity of breakout or case rooms if needed. Lighting. The main source of lighting should be fluorescent lights. Incandescent lighting should be spread throughout the room and used with dimmers when projection is required. Wall and floor covering. Carpeting should be placed in the meeting area. Solid colors are preferable because they're not distracting. Only meeting-related materials should be on the walls. Chairs. Chairs should have wheels, swivels, and backs that provide support for the lower lumbar region. Glare. Check and eliminate glare from metal surfaces, TV monitors, and mirrors. Ceilings. 10-foot-high ceilings are preferable. Outlets. Outlets should be available every 6 feet. A telephone jack and internet access should be next to outlets. Make sure that outlets are available for trainees to plug in their laptops if necessary. Acoustics. Check the bounce or absorption of sound from walls, ceiling, floor, and furniture. Try voice checks with 3 or 4 different people, monitoring voice clarity and level. Technology. Check that the room has permanent screens and a computer with internet access for the trainer and for trainees if needed. Recognizing that trainee learning can be facilitated through both mental and physical involvement, it's important to consider this when choosing a training space. Seating arrangements at the training site should be based on the understanding of the desired type of trainee interaction and trainee-trainer interaction. This figure shows several types of seating arrangements: the fan type, classroom type, conference type, and horseshoe type seating. Fan type seating is conducive to allowing trainees to see from any point in the room. If the training primarily involves knowledge acquisition, with lecture and audiovisual presentation being the primary training method, traditional classroom type seating is appropriate. Traditional classroom seating allows the trainee interaction with the trainer, but it also makes it difficult for the trainees to work in teams, particularly if the seats are not movable to other locations in the room. If training emphasizes total group discussion with limited presentation and no small group interaction, a conference-type arrangement may be most effective. If the training requires both presentation and total group instruction, the horseshoe arrangement is useful. Seating arrangements will either help or hurt training experiences. The overall concept, usefulness of the course, the objective, and its relevance to the job should be presented first, followed by an explanation of how the course is structured to achieve its objectives. This is important to get learners into the appropriate mental state for learning and helps them to understand the personal and work-related meaningfulness and relevance of course content. Using a flowchart or course outline, you should present the general topics first, followed by more specific subtopics. A concept map can also be used for organizing and presenting knowledge or skills. A concept map includes concepts shown in boxes, with the relationship between the concepts indicated by connecting lines. At the start of each part, you can present the appropriate part of the concept map, outline, or flowchart. This helps the learner organize the content in memory. Also, you can return to the entire concept map, flowchart, or outline during the course to show how the content covered fits into the course and its relationship to the next topic. The learner-learner and learner-instructor interactions are useful. They help learners understand the meaningfulness of training content and help commit it to memory. Effective discussions are based on clearly defined goals, topic focus, and time frame, planned questions, and clear rules for participation. Effective discussions are based on clearly defined goals, topic focus, and time frame, planned questions, and clear rules for participation. Discussions can have a number of goals, including brainstorming sessions, debriefing or reflection on learning activities, application of knowledge and skills, and evaluating the learning experience. After you choose the goals, it's important to consider what topics will be discussed, time expectations, the type of seating best suited for the discussion, and materials needed such as pictures, slides, or handouts. Questions for starting the discussion are needed. These should be open-ended questions that require more than a yes or no response. It's also important to have different opening questions as well as follow-up questions and discussion prompts. You also need to consider how you'll invite learners to participate in the discussion, raise their hands, or just jump into the discussion. Also, you need to decide the rules for interpreting others, cell phone use, respecting others' opinions, and when leaving or taking a break is appropriate. The goals, topics, timeframes, and expectations and structure for the discussion should be communicated to learners before the discussion begins. A curriculum refers to an organized program of study designed to meet a complex learning objective. A curriculum usually involves several courses, and it usually focuses on developing a set of competencies needed to perform a job. In comparison to a curriculum, a course or program usually covers more specific learning objectives and addresses a more limited number of competencies or skills. Although curricula, courses, and lessons all use learning objectives, they tend to vary in specificity. Learning objectives for curricula tend to be broader and less measurable than for courses. A curriculum roadmap refers to a figure showing all of the courses in a curriculum, the paths that learners can take through it, and the sequences of courses. For each course, information that can be used to help design and develop detailed courses are provided. This includes a brief statement of the course purpose, including why the course is important, prerequisite skills needed for the course, learning objectives or competencies covered by the course, and supporting or enabling objectives. The format of the content and expectations. Expectations might relate to the type of content to be covered, how the content will be presented, and the structure of the content itself. And finally, the delivery method for the content. A design document can be used to guide the development of training and to explain the training to managers, subject matter experts, reviewers, and other trainers. A design document can be used to guide the development of training and explain the training to managers, subject matter experts, reviewers, or other trainers. Information for the design document is based on information obtained in the needs assessment. The level of detail in the design document can vary. Scope of the project includes the goals, outcomes, or achievement expectations for trainees, a description of the trainees, a description of how long it will take to develop the course, and the checkpoints or tasks that needed to be completed. Delivery includes what the course will cover, how it will be delivered, an estimate of training time, and the identification of any special conditions or issues that may affect the course. Objectives refers to the course or program objectives. Those are broader summary statements of the purpose of the program. Resources refers to the materials, cases, DVDs, videos, modules, process maps, podcasts, lesson plans, or guides for use by the facilitator or participants that need to be purchased or developed for the course. Administration and evaluation refers to who will be in charge of the course scheduling, how trainees will enroll, how the course will be evaluated, and who will review and update the course. Links to other programs refer to any other needs, such as a Train the Trainer program or manager introduction or kickoff of the program. Lesson plans can be designed for programs lasting a day, a week, or several hours. If training takes place over several days, a separate lesson plan is prepared for each day. A detailed lesson plan translates the content and sequence of training activities into a guide that's used by the trainer to help deliver the training. That is, lesson plans include the sequence of activities that will be conducted in the training session and identify the administrative details. The lesson plan provides a table of contents for the training activity, which helps ensure that training activities are consistent regardless of the trainer. Lesson plans also help ensure that both the trainee and the trainer are aware of the course and program objectives. Because lesson plans are documented, they can be shared with customers of the training department, like managers who pay for training services, to provide them with detailed information regarding program activities and objectives. In developing a lesson outline, trainers need to consider the proper sequencing of topics. Trainers must also answer questions such as what knowledge and skills need to be learned first, in what order should knowledge, skills, and behaviors be taught, and what order will make sense to the trainees. There are different options for sequencing. For example, job or task functioning sequencing starts with an overview of the job and lists the steps of completing a task or a job in the order in which they're completed. Familiar to unfamiliar sequencing starts with the idea or content that is familiar to the learner and builds to newer information. Make sure that you communicate the sequencing of the topics to the trainee because it makes it easier for them to follow the flow of the lesson, which helps to organize it in memory, aiding in retention of learning. A storyboard is useful for course and lesson design and determining sequencing. A storyboard is a group of pictures that tell a story. Your storyboard can be done using paper and pencil or markers on notebooks, erasable marker boards, flip charts, or using PowerPoint slides. A storyboard is useful for showing the correct process or procedure as well as the order of activities or presentation of ideas in a training module, a course, or a program. It's also important to consider the target audience. Any information about their training and experience, their motivation for taking the course, and their interests, learning styles, and background, like education and work experience, will be useful for choosing meaningful examples, determining program content, deciding on support materials, and building the credibility of training. Information about target audience should be available from the person analysis of the needs assessment process. Support materials include any equipment needed for delivery of instruction, such as computers, overhead projectors, or tablet computers. In considering instructor and trainee activity, the focus should be on ensuring that the lesson has as many features of possible learning process as possible, including communication of objectives, feedback, opportunities for practice, opportunities for trainees to share experiences and ask questions, and modeling or demonstration. Trainee prerequisites refer to any preparation, basic skills, or knowledge that the trainee needs prior to participating in the program. Trainee prerequisites may include basic math and reading skills, completion of prior training sessions, or successful completion of tests or certificate or degree programs. The lesson plan overview matches major activities of the training program and specific times or time intervals. Completing a lesson plan overview helps the trainer determine the amount of time that needs to be allocated for each topic covered in the program. The lesson plan overview is also useful in determining when trainers are needed during a program. Training providers may include individual consultants, consulting firms, companies that specialize in training programs, or academic institutions. How could you identify a vendor for training services? Personal networks, professional associations, conferences, and trade shows are frequently used by persons in charge of company training, like chief learning officers. The most important qualities for vendors include providing a high quality product with positive results, providing a good value for the cost, and being easy to work with. It's important for the vendor to try to understand the business issues and deliver high quality products and services to resolve them. Good vendors have to ask the right questions and listen to your answers, customize and deliver learning as expected, on time, and within budget. A common criticism of vendors is they try to provide an existing learning solution rather than provide a customized product to fit an organization's needs. Many companies identify vendors and consultants who provide training services by using a request for proposal known as an RFP, which is a document that outlines the potential vendors and consultants, the type of service the company is seeking, the type and number of references needed, the number of employees needing to be trained, funding for the project, the follow-up process used to determine satisfaction and service levels, the expected date of completion of the project, and the date when proposals must be received by the company. It also describes scoring criteria that will be used to evaluate the proposal. The RFP may be mailed to potential consultants and vendors or posted on a company website. Usually, the RFP helps identify several vendors who meet the criteria. The next step is to choose the preferred provider. The consultant's experience should be evaluated. Managers should carefully consider the services, materials, and fees outlined in the consulting contract. If the company wants to use the consultant's materials for training at a later date, it would have to pay additional fees to the consultant. When using a consultant or other outside vendor to provide training services, it is also important to consider the extent to which the training program will be customized or based on the company's needs, or whether the consultant is going to provide training services based on a generic framework that applies in many different organizations. Also, to facilitate transfer of training, instructors need to consider encouraging trainees to self-manage the use of learned skills, how to ensure that managers and peers provide trainees with opportunities to use training content, support training, and provide electronic support. The degree of flexibility and variability in the skills and knowledge that the learner needs for successful performance is important to consider in determining the extent to which the learning environment should match working conditions. Near transfer means the need to apply learned capabilities exactly in a work situation. Programs that emphasize near transfer should include the following. Trainees need to follow standardized procedures, processes, and checklists. Trainees need to be given an explanation as to any differences between training and work tasks. Trainees should be encouraged to focus only on important differences between training tasks and work tasks rather than unimportant differences. Trainees should be provided with an explanation as to why as well as how the procedure should be performed to help them understand the concepts behind the procedure. Behavior or skills that trainees learn in the program should contribute to effective performance. In contrast, if the tasks emphasized in training involve variable interactions with people or equipment and unpredictable responses, then instruction should emphasize learning more general principles and knowing when and why to pursue a course of action. That is, instruction should emphasize far transfer. This is the case when teaching learners how to deal with novel situations involving original thinking to develop a solution, create a new product, or solve a different problem. One way to prepare trainees to deal with obstacles that they may face in work environments, such as a lack of opportunity to use skills or an unsupportive manager, is to provide instruction in self-management techniques at the end of a training program. Manager support refers to the degree to which trainees' managers emphasize the importance of attending training programs, stress the application of training content to the job, and provide opportunities for trainees to use what they've learned on the job. Managers can communicate expectations to trainees as well as provide encouragement and resources needed to apply training on the job. Managers can provide different levels of support for training activities. The greater the level of support, the more likely that transfer of training will occur. Managers should be actively involved in the design and delivery of training programs. The basic level of support that a manager can provide is acceptance, allowing trainees to attend training. The greatest level of support is to participate in training as an instructor teaching in the program. Transfer of training can also be enhanced by a support network among trainees. A support network is a group of 2 or more trainees who agree to meet and discuss their progress in using learned capabilities on the job. This may involve face-to-face meetings, communications via email, or interactions on an electronic social network similar to Facebook. Trainees may share successful experiences in using training content on the job. They might also discuss what they've obtained in terms of resources needed to use training content or how they've coped with a work environment that interfered with the use of training content. Opportunity to use learned capabilities, or opportunity to perform, refers to the extent to which the trainee is provided with or actively seeks experiences that allow application of newly learned knowledge, skills, and behaviors from the training program. Opportunity to perform is influenced both by the work environment and trainee motivation. One way that trainees have the opportunity to use learned capabilities is through assigned work experiences like problems or tasks that require their use. A performance support system is a computer application that can provide skills training, information access, and expert advice as requested. Tactic knowledge is personal knowledge based on individual experience and influenced by perceptions and values. The communication of tactic knowledge requires personal communications through discussion and demonstrations. Explicit knowledge refers to manuals, formulas, and specifications that are described in formal language. Explicit knowledge can be managed by placing it in a knowledge database, or it can be managed by a knowledge management system. Knowledge management refers to the process of enhancing company performance by designing and implementing tools, processes, systems, structures, and cultures to create, capture, share, and use knowledge. Knowledge management can help companies get products to market quicker, better serve customers, develop innovative products and services, and attract new employees and retain current ones by giving people the opportunity to learn and develop. How might knowledge management occur? There are several ways to help create, share, and use knowledge. Use technology, email, and social networking sites or portals on a company intranet that allow people to store information and share it with others. Publish directories that list what company employees do, how they can be contacted, and the type of knowledge they have. Develop informational maps that identify where specific knowledge is stored in the organization. Allow employees to take time off from work to acquire knowledge, study problems, and attend training or use technology. Create an online library of learning resources such as journals, technical manuals, training opportunities, and video seminars. Create communities of practice using face-to-face meetings, wikis, or blogs for employees to share information with common interests in a subject, where they can collaborate, share ideas, solutions, and innovations. Use after-action reviews at the end of each project to review what happened and what can be learned from it. Many companies are interested in knowledge management because they're experiencing the loss of explicit and tactic knowledge resulting from older employees retiring. There are several key considerations for effective knowledge management. They include collaborating between training and information technology departments, creating leadership positions in charge of knowledge management, providing easy-to-use technology, and ensuring employee trust and a willingness to share knowledge. For knowledge management to be effective, the training department and information technology department must collaborate. Training can help develop the culture as well as the content and learning strategies. Information technology develops the systems for accessing, sharing, storing knowledge, and delivering training. Chief Learning Officers, known as CLOs, also known as Knowledge Officers, are the leaders of a company's knowledge management efforts. Knowledge management systems fail for 2 reasons. The technology is too complicated, or companies don't give enough consideration to how to motivate employees to share knowledge. Trust and a willingness to share information are key personal factors that relate to knowledge sharing. To encourage knowledge sharing, companies must recognize and promote employees who teach, learn, and share.